hard being, hard being, hard being the other, hard being the other, lonely, no one cares. So you have to self-medicate, 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 self-medicate. What's the difference between crushed up pain pills and a chocolate donut? What's the difference? So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob. And who's eating you alive? Pretty much everybody in the corporate world. And that cat, ooh, what does this remind you of? Like the Silicon Valley Bank, right? It's the third largest bank, and it just, had a run on it, right? Why was that? Because billions were put in there by investment bankers who basically put the money so their startup companies could have a well of capital that they could pay their bills, their employees, the rent, etc. Right, and that's how the Silicon Valley shuffle works. And it worked very well for a good 30 years, especially at 0% interest free money. Since 2000, but really with Obama in 08. And and also Bill Clinton, because he got rid of all the controls in the banking system, pretty much all the controls. And he was the first guy to basically drive our deficit down to zero. And how did he do that? He destroyed, got rid of, decimated the existing minor safety net in the United States. And we never, in Russia, and then, that's Russia, and what is Russia? Is Russia a broken down country? Is Russia, totally kind of just a piggy bank of resources? What is Russia? What is Russia?
Its economy is ineffective. Remember the McCain statement? Oh, Russia is Spain with a gas station? All of these arrogant displays of American hubris, treating Russia as though it was a third-class nation with a fourth-class military. Well, we're getting an education right now. We paid no attention to the Russians who had legitimate concerns about what we were doing in eastern Ukraine. We were building an army to attack them. We put a hostile government into that country in 2014. And we kept telling them that it made no difference to us what they thought or what they cared about. They said, we don't want NATO on our border. No one paid attention. President Trump tried to listen, but he was surrounded by
Russia,
people who
right
subverted him. People who are not loyal to the
America,
president,
right
who took
there.
an oath of obedience to the orders of the president and then ignored them. So what's the outcome? You've got a very serious war that could become regional, even global. And no one in the White House seems to really grasp that. But we're losing. The globalists are losing.
Yep, they're losing. Because why did that bank go insolvent when it had billions of dollars of money in it? Well, because the investment bankers who had the billions took it out of that bank in less than 24 hours. When we had the 08 crisis, the money, it was a liquidity issue, right? Not so much people taking money on the bank, but people started too, and there was no money there, right? But this one, the Fed, which is a privately owned stock held corporation, has nothing to do with the government. And our Constitution says, that's one reason why we went to war in the Revolution, no taxation without representation. And the Federal Reserve is just that, taxation without representation. Just look at I just spent $100 on groceries, and I bought 2 packets of English muffins, some yogurt, a packet of sausages, um, some seasonings, some vegetables, spinach and onions and potatoes, and I bought some water and some seltzer, and I did get a lunch plate and what else? Some cheese. $100, $100.04. So that's taxation without representation. A year and a half ago, that cost me $30, and because I'm an honest guy, I get $68 worth of food stamps. Right? There's another guy I know. He lied. He's getting $300. Right? Me, I'm being honest, and that's $68, and that's just enough food for maybe a week. Right? So also bought some bent cans of mushroom soup. Instead of $3 a can, they were 98 cents, and they were little cans. But they do a pretty good job at making things taste good as a seasoning, right? Anyway, so this inflation went ooh, and why did it do? Because Donnie Trump gave the trillionaires a $20 trillion tax cut. Right? That's the only thing he really got through Congress. That, right? And he had both the Senate and the Congress. But really, he was just a wrecking ball. And if you don't realize that every president we've had since George Washington is put in there, right? George Washington, where did our first president get sworn in as the first president of the United States? But on the steps of the New York City Stock Exchange. There used to be a statue of George there until the 80s, the go-go 80s of greed is good. And they put a golden bull up there, right? And then when America became a little churchy, and someone noticed that we were, putting an icon, a golden bull as our god, we put little gold in front of the stock exchange with pigtails, and that's in my novels. The character who is the god that's around, the day-to-day god, the demigod that we got is the girl with the pigtails, the yellow ribbons, right? But otherwise, it looks just like the god that everyone puts a golden throne up in the clouds, crapping on everyone. And that's not, people, I go to 3 different churches. I go to their fellowship, their Bible study, and they don't get it. They just read, they quote the Bible, and no, God is love, unconditional love. Jesus is unconditional forgiveness. Jesus has been around since the beginning, and God made everything. So God, who made everything, basically, my boy ate the donuts and threw the boxes away after nodding out over there. But he's self-medicating. He is America. And that was America I showed you. That's America. And Exodus in the Bible is America. It's the beginning, there's like 8 pages about midwives, right? Women giving birth, where the baby comes from. What good is that baby? Is it a girl baby or a boy baby? in those days, the girl babies were more important. They were killing the boy babies. So, and Moses, he got stuck in a reed bag and stuck in the water. And Pharaoh's niece or cousin or aunt grabbed him, and she was like in her 50s, so she was past having babies, but she wanted to have a kid, so she brought him up. Said it was one of her maids who split town, right? Could have been. And that was Moses. And Moses got all the accolades. So smart boy, And he's one of the chosen ones, the lucky bastards, right? And all through time, there's been lucky bastards. And that's what, Noah, Moses, you name it, those guys in the book, 60 stories, 60 books and 42 authors, right? So that's the story, Here we are back again. We got some more stuff. And they'll let you do it to a certain point, get the food, eat it, you're not pay for it, but it's not good, right? And so who are you? Are you ready? Or can my little life mantras, prayers, right? In every day and every way, I consciously intend to serve love's co-creation with unconditional forgiveness. Oh, I am that unconditional forgiveness. I am that co-creation of love's co-creation. Unconditionally love it. I am. Now I'm a moron. I make mistakes. 40% of the time I have a clue what I'm doing, right? That's why God's got my back. I don't let God be my co-pilot, it's like it's take the wheel, right? So that's how I get through life, right? That's how I motivate myself. And I speak to people that will listen. So I go to those three churches and I speak. I read the Bible all the time. And to me, the Bible is a tool. The Bible, that is the word, it means the book. They could have made it more interesting, like, Bible. It's not the word of God. It's not truth. It's the book, right? And it's not, a service manual for you to have a actual relationship with the concierge of heaven, Peter at the gate. No, it's a tool that you read many, many times a day. You don't have to read the whole thing, but I just open it. I've been reading it for the last 2 years, and one of those churches was nice enough to give me a large print version of it, so I can almost read it without wearing glasses, and my eyes are going, and this body is going, and all my doctors are amazed that I'm still freaking alive. So that's what I'm here to tell you guys. I am your griot to tell you a story, right? And so we are being thrown off the cliff. Wars, pestilence, famine, economic collapses. Nothing is, none of this is based on any reality. It's all based on a script of Mr. Globaloney, who is slicing everybody up like bologna. And every politician, no matter what country they come from, are owned. And the war in Ukraine, it's not what moron, animated Colonel says or anybody. One guy named Jimmy Dore, another guy named Chris Hedges, another guy named dark journalist, right, Daniel, and Catherine Austin Fisk, Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, David Icke. I love David, but man, when I first met him, he looked like a cute little kid in his soccer outfit. I met him in New York. He was making the rounds before his first book got published, and in the early '90s, and now he looks like a reptile. I keep talking about the reptiles. It seems he's become one. But in Doctor Who, the Madam, she was a reptile, and she was nice. She didn't eat humans. She had a girlfriend. It was binary, trans, fluid, and it was in the 1870s. Holy moly! And so I play a lot of people's videos on. I got a lot of threads. A lot of people send me stuff. I throw it up there on my show. Let you listen to it. Let you watch it. And it's right in front of your face. Nothing's hidden. Nothing ever is hidden. World War One, World War Two, Spanish American War, Mexican War, the war against the Indians. These were all genocidal wars by corporate state that we call America. And since the War of 1812, it has been a fascist corporate state. Between Christopher Columbus and the War of 1812, it was an imperial state, right? And everyone was deluded to think that they were the emperor, right? But the emperor wears no clothes. But England, who that was running the show, a friend of mine sent me the series Master and Commander. You should go. Russell Crowe did the movie, but it's a series of books, and it talks about the English Navy and how they ran the world with ships and technology, right? They were the first to really mass produce, industrialize, before they even had railroads, they had canals. And, the stuff is right there, and it's like 1984. They're doing their best to rewrite it, but it's kind of impossible, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to have a war in Ukraine to obliterate one of the centers of culture, just like they had a war in Syria and obliterated the realization that Asia had been in Mid East and Europe way, 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 way before Christ. They were there, and they were, remnants of other great societies, right? Tartarian society, and this whole thing about flat Earth, it's a metaphor, right? About what we are. And people believe in anything. You are a stupid twig. No, there's only one thing that works, and that's faith in your connectivity to God's unconditional love and Jesus' unconditional forgiveness. And again, if you get hung up on the names of the Creator, I'm reading this, and so, I live out in the woods, right? Then I have pallets all over the place with stuff stuck on top of them and wrapped in garbage bags and covered by um, tarps. And they've been out there for the last 20 years. And I'm now just got the time and energy to, oh, look, I always thought this was just a pile of leaves. No. And I found this book, a box of books. And so there's a creature that comes and visits me and just kind of messes things up, but not bad. In the beginning, it inhabited raccoons, and they're like naughty teenagers, and they really were, please, a mess. And because I live outdoors, right? I live in the woods, right? Because you should clean a place up. I mean, if you got a great little deck and you got a great little, it's not a cabin, it's a garage, right? With a toilet in it, a kitchen in it, and I'm a lot above. But I have 20, 40 years of stuff. I owned a factory, I owned a loft, I owned a big school, a 7,000 square foot Johnny Boy shows the school up over and over and over. I had that for a good 12 years, 15 years, and I turned that into a school. More than George and Inga had it as a school. They were kind of a failure. I had my mystery schools, and I had at least 4 classes, and they had some gravitas to them, meaning those people went on to do other things with what I taught them. And that's why I thought doing a YouTube channel, because man, YouTube is amazing. It's got everything you could ever freaking imagine in the YouTube, and I don't think it's going to last too much longer. We're going to have a red flag of sorts, and that is going to be something like a X flare that will hit us square on, and everybody on the Earth that was facing that X when it hits us, it will probably kill, maybe at least 1 billion people, because it'll fry every semiconductor on the planet, even the ones facing away from it. Some that are, and you will find when this occurs, all of the guarded, siloed communities that are underground, which are, used to be called dumps, deep underground military bases, right? But now they are fascist dumps, corporate dumps, rich people's dumps, and they are, when you are like, a mile underground, surrounded by granite and all kinds of other things that will bounce that energy away, you can somewhat protect your sensitive equipment. But everybody on the surface, the cars won't work, the electricity won't work, nothing will work. And like I said, the folks who are like right in the bullseye, because we're an electrochemical device, we'll probably get fried too. So it's a roll of the dice, kids. And so that's coming. I've been talking about the big splat for at least 3 years, if not 4. And just a few days ago, May 8th was my 5th year, right? And last time I looked at my numbers, it said I had 650 subscribers. And then someone said, no, you've got 590. Then I looked and I said, I used to say I had 2,100 shows, and that was a year ago, and now it says I have 1,700. So, it doesn't matter. I would suggest to you guys, you should go and pick your favorite Sensei Al Bob stories and Dreamy Dreamland and put it on some kind of secure, like, they still have CD-ROMs. I mean, that would survive a X-flare, right? The other thing that's pretty obvious, the one or two things that's going to occur is, Russia's economy is, never was that good. They were just selling fuel, oil. And oil now is in the $60 range. So, all of the Emirates, they can't survive. They have to have oil at least at $85 for them to survive, because their whole economy is based on that. Even Bahrain, that turned their whole country into Disneyland for the rich, still, they can't make it without the profits from oil. And they're running out of oil because they have been pumping it out of their neighborhood for the last 50, 60 years. So they have overestimated how much they got. Venezuela has the largest, has by far. Why do you think there's a Russian dictator there? To protect our oil, not to sell it, right? But it's only just, it's across the street from Europe. It's across the street from Africa. And why is that war going on in Sierra Leone and in all that neck of the woods? Because that's where the diamonds, the gold, the oil, the iridium, all of those materials, and it's geographically located right next to Egypt and the Mid-East. The rest of Africa and Asia down there, it's right on the Red Sea, and it is the headwaters of the Tigris the two big rivers in North Africa. So that's what's going on. You know, we're pushing 7 billion people. You know, Russia's going to get frustrated and nuke Poland, and then NATO and Russia will be off to the races. And NATO has been degraded to the point where it definitely can't win against NATO, but it can nuke a lot of people, and it won't, like nuclear winter could maybe, who knows? But I would say because Vlad is reading the script, it's a war of the two Vlads: the stand-up comedian and little rocket man Putin, right? And I mean, all the guys who he got to be the presidents of the lands that Russia annexed in eastern Ukraine. I mean, eastern Ukraine. Were like, a foot and a half taller than him. He was having to reach up to shake their hands. I mean, it's like Mary Hartman. Go watch that show. You know, it ends with one of the heroes dying in a bowl of Cheerios, just like our opening hero was, right? And so let's see what time it is. Oh, it's 1:04. Russia going on the offensive. What's next in Ukraine? 17 hours ago. Enemy at the gate. War enters Russia. Biggest setback of war. Ukraine launches biggest drone attack inside Russia. Putin. UK victory stuns the EU. You only need 2 battleships to destroy China's economy. Yep. Let's see. This war will be 10 times bigger than World War II. And now NATO is prepared to end this. Who's saying this?
Now, what you see behind me looks like a traditional shingle, but in fact, it's this panel right here. This is a metal shingle. All the benefits of a metal roof, but looks like a traditional shingle.
The ongoing conflict in Ukraine continues to unfold, with Russian President Vladimir Putin facing repeated failures in recruiting a well-trained and experienced military force. Despite losing numerous tanks every week, Russia shows no signs of backing down and threatening to invade NATO countries. This raises questions about the progression of the Russo-Ukraine conflict and the potential for Russia to launch an attack on NATO members. If such an attack were to occur, is NATO prepared to respond? Belgium, known for its fluffy waffles and artisanal chocolate, is also home to NATO's headquarters in the Brussels. NATO boasts a membership of 31 countries, including powerful militaries like the UK, France, Spain, Germany, Turkey, and the US. The combined military forces of NATO amount to approximately 3.6 million active duty personnel, with the US alone having one of the largest militaries globally, comprising over 1.3 million active duty personnel and more than 800,000 reserves. The strength and unity of the NATO and the US military serve as a crucial deterrent. Since its establishment in 1949, NATO has always considered the possibility of defending against a Russian attack. The details of such a scenario have evolved over time, but the threat has remained constant. However, due to Russia's miscalculations in Ukraine, its military forces now operate in decentralized and degraded formations throughout the theater. The current pattern of deployment suggests that most available units are engaged in offensive or defensive operations, leaving few troops for attacks elsewhere. This is positive news for NATO. Nonetheless, given Russia's history of aggressive behavior under Putin's leadership, it would be unwise for states to underestimate Russia. NATO understands this and recognizes Russia as its primary geopolitical adversary. The alliance remains prepared and ready for any challenges that Russia may pose. To defend its borders, NATO has maintained a credible military presence on Europe's eastern flank for nearly a decade, significantly strengthening it since 2022. The Baltic states, including Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, eagerly sought NATO membership after undergoing political and military reforms. These states, along with Finland, which recently joined NATO, are essential actors in the hypothetical war against Russia. They share challenging borders with Russia and serve as NATO's first line of defense. Finland, upon joining NATO, brought a substantial reserve of soldiers, tanks, and powerful artillery to the alliance. In contrast, the Baltic states had to overcome significant challenges to strengthen their comparatively humble forces. Estonia possesses 1,976 armored fighting vehicles, Latvia has 2,930, and Lithuania has 5,456, but none of them have tanks. Finland also has a larger active military personnel count compared to the Baltic states. Recognizing the need to enhance the capabilities of the Baltic states, NATO provided arms, ammunition, and training to make them interoperable with Western standards. The Baltic states reciprocated by deploying forces on UN missions and making significant contributions to NATO operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Their rapid transformation made them NATO's critical region.
Which were basically live fire exercises for NATO, right? That's why they were there, to get their people all used to being shot up and blown up and still can fight, right? So that's what the war in Afghanistan and the war in Syria and Iraq and Libya, where basically that's where our oil is and what's it doing under their ground. And so Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, he was a pretty amazing guy in that he was just a low-ranking officer. CIA put him in charge, and he did their bidding. He had his assassins knock people off for the CIA, start wars for the CIA, blow things up for the CIA, but the whole time he had Libyan crude, which is some of the best oil going. And early on, he did not let BP and Exxon and Mobil and Sedco and Dutch Shell come in and build out his oil installations. He did it himself. And he educated his people to do it themselves. So they all had a job. And he was getting the highest price because he had the best oil and he was selling it. Yes, he was selling it in dollars, which was all that we cared about. And he took that money and he built out his whole infrastructure of power, water, waste, housing, roads, transportation, you name it, he did it. He did not spend a ton of money on the military, just enough to, and he did that little dance. So I'm maybe building, I have a reactor, maybe I'm building an atomic bomb, right? He never blew one up, but he was, he came close enough that Israel blew up his facilities, right? And that's fine, right? Because he made a deal. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, right? And so he went along very merrily, and then he took his drilling apparatus and he drilled straight down into fast oil into water. That's where all the water is on this planet. This is a water planet. We're like a big sponge. And the oceans are just like little puddles of that water, right? Excuse me, sir. Could you grab me a couple of napkins? Yeah. Thanks, bud.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
Yep. My weepy eyes. So he brought up enough water to turn his desert country into Garden of Eden. And just before they blew him up, his country was making more money out of selling organic vegetables to Europe and the rest of the world than they were in their oil. Oil really only exists because governments subsidize it. The largest subsidized corporation in the United oil business than the farmers, right? And those farmers aren't owned by Mr. Green Jeans. They're owned by Cargill. They're owned by you know, Monsanto and Dow Chemical, and those are the people getting the money, right? And rich guys like where I'm at, between Kingsport, Mountain City, and Boone and Banner Elk, that whole area that had been the back in the 1890s, the Silicon Valley of the United States. That's where all the very interesting technology was being developed. That's why ETSU is there. That's why further in Virginia is Tech and App State and but anyway. After World War II, that was led to, and all the white people here who haven't been here for generations, they realized that 40% of the population in this neck of the woods was black. And they weren't working as sharecroppers, they were working as high-level technical folk. Look at Washington, D.C. It was built by black people. So, if you don't realize that we are in the big splat already, right? And we just keep getting, oh, we're gonna not be able to pay our bills. Oh, the whole world's gonna fall into a deep. Oh my God. Oh, ooh. We make a deal, right? And so what's that deal? Basically, JoJo said, "Oh, I'm an environmental guy, and I'm all about Black Lives Matter and transgendered whoopiness." And basically, the deals was all the stuff that he got through Congress, which Donald Trump never got anything but a tax cut through Congress. Donald Trump used a sledgehammer of being able to write executive orders to get rid of this department, that department. Not get rid of it, but defund it, fire the people. You're fired. He spent 10 years being the apprentice. Who was the apprentice? Donald Trump was the apprentice. He was apprenticing to be president. You're fired. That's all he did, was he fired more people and caused more chaos within the governmental structure than any president ever. Even Woodrow Wilson wasn't as bad as this guy. And Wilson was just, please. Why we have Jim Crow. Why we have all the statues of Southerners. Why we have sacramentalized the losing of the South. It's a losing of the people. So the only thing that you can do, you want to join some Black Lives Matter, Me Too matters, Rainbow matters. No. What matters is love's co-creation. What matters is unconditional forgiveness. Go out and forth and in every day and every way and take that piece of the earth and make it stronger by being that twin flame of God's unconditional love. You read the Bible, and in the Old Testament, God didn't just go whacking people here and there. Human beings did, right? And when you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, God did not turn those folk into salt. They did, because they disconnected themselves from God's photonic love. And that is what animates this little bag of water. You aren't. I am not this. This is not me. This is just my avatar talking to you, right? And what happens when we die is that we slowly can't metabolize that photonic love, and we die, basically. And that comes from us walking out of the Garden of Eden, right? Where we were going to live forever, and everybody got along, and everybody was a vegetarian. A man didn't eat the animals; he ate from the trees. They ate, they were eaten from. So when you read the Bible, tool, it vibrates. You read it, you vibrate. You become that element of photonic love. Right? That's why as my doctors say, I'm the healthiest dead guy they know. Right? And I just need, if you want to send me something on PayPal, that would be duly appreciated. But I don't need it. Other people, have pay plans, blah blah blah. No, because God takes care of me, right? I live like a millionaire on $4,400 a month. Yep, just kick it out of the way. I'm Santa's younger brother, Bob Claus. Oh, I like those shoes. Yes, very nice. Are these two twins?
No, just close in age.
Just close in age, with the same haircut.
Yes. All I know how to do.
That's what does it. No, you know how to do more than that. Hey, watch getting out, guys.
I wait. Let me get the table.
Yep, they're all funky. Funky like a monkey. And you two look like monkeys to me.
Right here.
Here's one. You don't want to go to the big table?
It looks pretty dirty, so.
Ah, yes.
Okay, go sit down.
There's a funky monkey there, too. Oh, he wants that soda. Very good. You are a clever one. Anyway, what can I say? 42 minutes and 9. Whoa, whoa. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. Mayonnaise, yes. Very good. He's getting water. Very good. Nice. Now there's a technicut there. So what's going on? Anybody got anything to say? There's two of you there. Is that two AIs or just a cheeky monkey and AI? Let's see. Let's make some phone calls. See what the Minister of Distraction is up to. Oops, wrong one. Do 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 do. Is he gonna answer? Maybe. I don't think so. He would have been fun. So anyway, and how are you self-medicating? Well, I gotta. Could you do me a big favor, Miss Mom? Can you keep an eye on things? I have to go use the little boy. Just stick your hat. Oh man, boys, don't get over it. I know you will, but take your time. Have a good time. Sushi. You having chicken? Oh, good chicken. I'm having strawberries. Ooh, look at that strawberry. Mm. Not right now. Anyway, somebody hung up there because it was AI. Well, it was good seeing you. We're almost 50 minutes. 50 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm out of here. Maybe later in an hour or two, I'll come back. Okay? Okay.